Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. That's right, you're back with us talking about today the opioid addiction problem and some thoughts about what happened, how do you know if you're addicted, and you could think about it not just addiction to opioids or to pain meds, but you could think about it in a larger sense of how do we know if we're trapped in an addictive cycle? So we'll talk about that for a minute. And then lastly, and mostly, we're going to talk about what to do, some thoughts about what to do with addiction thoughts. Okay, so you're on with Dr. Scott Terry, Mental Health Matters, KRUU 100.1 on your FM dial. The shows are archived at KRUUFM.com. You could also pick up the shows for the YouTube by dialing into YouTube and then typing in Ardent Counseling Center. You could also email me if you've got any questions or thoughts. We love the emails when they come in because they're just really informative and thoughtful. At scott@ardentcenter.com. Ardent is ARDENT. CENTER.com. So anyways, looking forward to connecting with you. So today we've got our great co-host today, which is Adam. Say hi, Adam.
Hi, Adam. This is Adam Conlog. I'm a physical therapist. I did a show earlier with Scott about kind of the relationship between physical therapy and mental health and how our kind of worlds kind of complement each other as far as injuries, illnesses. And today we're going to talk about a little bit of addiction and how our kind of, again, how our worlds kind of cross over and what we do to, when we see addiction or kind of ways we can help with that problem, and specifically the opioid epidemic, which is really hitting America pretty hard right now.
And I do think it's really fascinating how our worlds keep colliding and could be made better use of each other. You know, even for something like, it's obviously a physical pain issue, right? That's where it starts.
Oh, absolutely. And then manifests, mentally, the changes cognitively that you're going to get, the adaptations to pain are not just physical, but are mental as well.
Absolutely.
Thought processes,
which then recycles
changes.
back systemically back to a physical issue.
So you get that vicious cycle, and it's hard to break it from one end or the other. So that's why I think
a team approach.
Yeah, exactly. With all things, the team approach, physicians, healthcare professionals, mental health, physical therapy, nursing, pretty much all of us, I think, need to be on the same page and have a lot better interaction when we are dealing with chronic issues.
And nothing should really be off the table, but we're going to get off to that and at the end, saying how really nothing should be off the table. All hands on deck. Let's see, again, with everything, the question isn't what's the problem. The question is always, what are we going to do about the problem?
Yeah, exactly.
And the answer is always whatever works. Yeah. And what works for you might not work for somebody else. So let's go through what works. But anyways, let's start with, how did this mess get...
So as we talk today, we'll talk about the use of opiates. And if you don't know what opiates are what we refer to as painkillers, pain relievers, prescriptions specifically. Vicodin, OxyContin, Percocets, oxycodone, hydrocodone, morphine, fentanyl, really strong, heavy-duty painkillers. And a lot of these came out really for end-of-life care, like cancer treatment and kind of acute pain kind of syndromes, but as they've been prescribed more widely.
Like your hip's out of pain, or, you go to the doctor. I've had pain medicine because I've had surgery or something.
So people always want, a quick fix to their pain, and pain relievers work really, really well.
Oh, I'm stopping you there for just a second. That quick fix is part of the problem.
Yeah,
exactly. In this society, we always want that quick fix. Give me the pill and let me walk away, as opposed to, no, take a deep breath, see what do you actually need and how much do you need it. For instance, another related kind of thing that's happened is people take way too much antibiotics, and they feed their kids way too much antibiotics. And so there's always this quick rush to, we've got a problem, let's kill it.
Yeah, whether or not that's the most appropriate course of action or not, right?
And that doesn't mean antibiotics are bad, of course.
Right, no, and absolutely necessary and very useful. Same with pain pills, but we're getting down to the point now where we're using them too abundantly and too easily, I think. So we need to become...
quick fix. It's the all or nothing.
Exactly.
And like everything we talk about with here, no all or nothing thinking, getting out of right or wrong with anything.
The quick fix doesn't really exist. And, from a therapy side point, when you're talking about pain and pain pills, there's usually an organic or mechanical cause to the pain. Painkillers help to numb that pain and dull that pain so you can continue to function and, be without pain, but it doesn't really cause the pain. It really masks those symptoms. So until you get to the underlying problem of what that pain is, with it's a pulled muscle or a fractured bone, until you kind of solve that problem, you're going to still deal with that pain. So kind of goes hand in hand. You need to manage that pain, but you also have to fix that problem so you don't continue to have the pain.
I think this is key, Adam, because you're absolutely right. And, you run a physical therapy center.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that again?
It is located here in Fairfield on Highway 1 as you're headed out of town.
But
South
people
Main
might
Street,
be
actually.
listening from, wherever in the world.
Yeah.
If they've got a question, they could contact you.
Yeah, you can find us. You can always call us. We have a website, universaltherapygroup.com. We're on Facebook, Universal Therapy Group. So you can always find our information on the web. You can call us directly here in town. You can search that up.
So if somebody's got a question like, I've got this thing, is it appropriate to come to you, to come to me, to come to,
I think go to where you're comfortable. If you know
Start
someone, we can always
start.
Start where you start. So if that's going to be physical therapy, our professional organization, the APTA, right now, we have a campaign going on which is called Choose PT First, meaning come and see the physical therapist, maybe even before you contact your primary care physician or you go kind of any other routes, because we're going to take a look and see, what really is your problem. We're going to screen you, do kind of a full evaluation, see what we can do to help you, fix your problem or fix that issue, which is maybe leading to some of the pain and problems.
Well, I think that's key. And so back to your main premise, which I think is a really great one, is that the opioids don't heal the pain.
Right.
It's not like they're restitching because you're feeling better, that the pain, that you're healing, what's going on. You're sort of numbing to the pain,
right?
And that's the problem with
if you're blocking your pain and you're still doing the things that caused your pain in the first place, you're going to end up worse off. Especially when you stop taking that pain medication, you're going to end up causing more problems. And you're going to be in a chronic state of pain, which is really change the way that you interpret pain, that body reacts, the compensation, and all those type of things.
Well, I think that's an interesting point. So it's not just, okay, I have a pain because I broke my hip or I broke my leg or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so I take these pain meds, which aren't really solving the problem, but they're necessary, right? Because especially in that instance, I've had a car accident.
Yep, exactly.
I need some help for a little bit.
Yes, and in
that case, too much pain is bad.
Exactly.
But when and how do I wean off it?
Yep.
But the problem is that the longer I'm on the pain medicine, the more my body adapts to that pain medicine.
Exactly.
And then needs less and less.
Right, and then you try to get more and more, and then when you're trying to get off it, your body's still craving it, so you go through the withdrawal symptoms, and you start looking out for the pain pills, and then pain pills get expensive, and so you start looking at other alternatives, and that's why we're seeing such a resurgence of heroin in the U.S., is because a lot of it's due to people that were addicted to opiates that are now seeking out cheaper
OxyContin, which they marketed, and this is part of the history, is OxyContin was marketed by the drug companies as being non-addictive.
Right.
So the physicians weren't trying to get their clients addicted.
Right. No, not at all. No.
And again, like everything here, we're not black or white, right or wrong, all or nothing. It doesn't mean all things with pharmaceutical companies are bad. It doesn't mean that they're all good, for God's sake. It really means that you've got to be, with everything, a critical thinker, know what works for you, take the good with the bad, and sort of know what works best.
So in the light of the evidence that we have now that these medications really are addictive, you kind of have to be your own advocate, because they are helpful, but you have to know, do you really need that pain medication, or are there alternative therapies that you can do, such as physical therapy, acupuncture, massage, mental health, counseling, hypnosis type of things. Those can all be very effective. And the CDC is actually recommending now,
Center for Disease Control.
Yeah, the Center for Disease Control, I'm going to read this, has actually recently released guidelines that urge prescribers to reduce the use of opiates for most long-term pain management. The guidelines indicate that while prescription opioids are appropriate in certain cases, such as cancer treatment, palliative care, end-of-life care, non-opioid approaches are preferred given the damaging potential side effects of opioids, which include depression, overdose, addiction, withdrawal symptoms. And I'm going to give you just a couple quick stats here about opiates. It's estimated that 23% of individuals who use heroin develop an opioid addiction. Drug overdose is the leading cause of accidental death in the U.S. And from 1999 to 2008, overdose death rates pretty much rose parallel to the increase in prescription pain relievers. So in 2008, it was nearly 4 times the amount of 1999, which is the same as about the number of sales of prescription pain relievers in 2010, was also about 4 times. So there definitely is a link between the number of opiates being prescribed and the number of accidental overdoses.
Again, they might have been prescribed legitimately.
In most cases they were, and most people aren't going to get addicted, but there's a high percentage that will, and when you do, it's not good and it leads to other problems.
Well, and I think it's always interesting to sort of look at how we get trapped, and how we get trapped in our minds with what's ever going on. Who gets trapped and why?
Yeah, because not everybody's going to get addicted. Some people don't like them. They don't make them feel that same way, but there's a certain percentage that will. And just like this stat, 4 out of 5 new heroin users started out misusing prescription painkillers. So
and then they were taken off it too quickly, and then their dealer, their medical doctor, pulled the rug from under them. So what could they do? Because now their body has adapted so much that they need it. They don't want it, they need it. And how do you get out of that syndrome?
Right, it's a very hard cycle to break, and nobody goes into taking pain pills thinking they're going to addicted to them. And these are not, people that we think off the street. These are not, drug addicts, heroin users in the back alleys. These are moms and dads and professional business people.
Class,
and
the biggest population that I've seen is the rising middle class and upper middle class that has gotten addicted. So it's not, some inner city African American Latino problem and you could blame it on the other, which is not only racist but inappropriate because it doesn't address the real issue. It obfuscates, it hides what's really going on. So let's be honest about what's going on and find a way out of it together.
So just like anything, the biggest issue, if you have a problem, is recognizing that problem. Are you dependent on those pain pills? Are you really still having this much pain? What is it that you're able to do or not do? And trying to seek help for that. The first step is, probably see and recognize that you have a problem, or family members seeing that you have a problem and kind of taking those steps,
And it doesn't matter, just start somewhere.
Yeah.
And if you don't get an answer, the doctor you see doesn't understand or doesn't have appropriate treatment, keep going. The point is to not stop.
Right.
And to keep trying. So acupuncture, for instance, is a great way to deal with pain.
Yeah.
But it's not just the pain. It's also mentally getting the problems that I've caused in my life. And now what do I do or not do about those problems? It's physically, my body is now adapted to that pain. So how do I not have that support, that crutch?
Right. You really have to kind of find a way to hit that reset button. Try to learn how to adapt and manage and kind of get back to your baseline where you were before, but you don't know what you don't know, so how do you do that by yourself? It's very hard. That's why you need to seek out professional help in most instances.
And you need an advocate, because somebody who's thinking clearer than you, because none of us are thinking clear when we're going through stuff.
Right. It's very hard. It's depressing, and you really need to have someone in your corner helping you out, and whether that's your friend, a family member, your personal physician that can kind of help you out, your physical therapist, your psychologist, your counselor, any number of people, but it's really important just to kind of recognize that this really is a big issue. And also, when we're talking about opiates, knowing what you can do ahead of time, because nobody goes in thinking, I'm going to take a few of these OxyContins, and when I'm done with this process is all over, I'm going to be fine. I'll just quit them. Well, that's usually how it happens, and then all of a sudden you're addicted, and it's hard to get off of those. So I think you have to be your own advocate even before you take that prescription for painkillers. Think, can I manage this without prescription pain pills? Can I see a physical therapist first, and maybe that will help me manage and control my pain without these stronger pain relievers? And some of the research even shows that for chronic pain that's been in existence for longer than 90 days, pain pills really are not that effective in controlling pain. if you look at some of the research, physical therapy, general exercise of any kind, is just about as effective as pain medication for decreasing pain.
Well, I know meditation is also true.
Yeah.
What you take in, your nutrition, your diet, your sleep patterns, again, the whole package. By the way, you're listening to KRUU 100.1 on your FM dial. Mental Health Matters today, and we are talking with Adam about the opioid addiction and dealing with addiction. I'm going to give you two examples. All right. One example is somebody from many years ago who was an Army Ranger, tough dude, like serious, like when you think about Navy SEALs, same kind of level. And I remember seeing him one day out, and he was smoking. I said, "What are you doing?" Because smoking, constricts the blood vessels, and he was having problems. And it's like, you're an idiot. This doesn't work for you. Right? You're trying to get better, and you're doing everything you can to thwart yourself in this instance. And so he was able to quit that moment there and then. He could decide and be done.
Yeah.
That he was able to do that with everything, no matter how tough it was.
Yeah.
It took him a year in going to specialists at Rush to find an avenue to get off anti-anxieties, the boost bars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've had this a number of times where people have been trying to get, it's the same kind of thing as the opioids, where they think, okay, I need a little relief. And yes, good, but don't get trapped in now needing that crutch.
Yeah.
The whole point of having the crutch is so that you could work to get out of it.
Yeah, it should always be, those things, the pain, it's a short-term solution, not a long-term solution. So we have to recognize that in our minds when we keep going in and out and asking for that prescription. And sometimes that's, people don't realize, and like I said, we always want that quick fix, but realizing that doesn't exist. It's just not the way that kind of the
that's
body
right, and
works.
it's not
you
a
have to
quick
take time.
fix. It takes time.
And the biggest thing is education. Knowing what your options are, knowing what can happen, and knowing what other avenues that there can be. So you kind of have to look out for. We have to look out for each other, and I think that's why we have to get everybody involved. So the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, is really trying to push this because it is a big deal. If you just look at the number of deaths from heroin overdoses in the last year or two, it's really increasing at an alarming rate. And
absolutely.
And everybody has to be involved. We can't just say, just stop prescribing pain pills, to one little group here and there. You have to recognize it in all instances. So it takes a team approach to really solve a lot of these problems with anything. So
and it
communication has to be open. Yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be pain pills. It could be, like I said, a number of things. What's really interesting when we start talking about what is addiction is it's really not just about what you are addicted to.
Yeah.
Because people who are alcoholics, they could stop drinking, doesn't mean they stop being an addict.
Right.
And so I pick up some other things. I've gone to 12-step meetings as trainings and all kinds of. People are smoking like chimneys, and they pick up 12 other addictions. Everybody's got, and it doesn't really matter what the specific addiction is. It's getting the larger picture that I'm have an addictive personality and I'm trapped.
Right. Yep.
And even more than that is that I'm chasing my tail. I've been running, that there's been this tiger in the room that I'm afraid of. And getting that I don't have to be afraid anymore. Like with everything we're dealing with, I don't need to run. There is no fear. I'm going to start taking back control over my life so I can create a better future and start living that today. That's where my power and control comes back to me as. To get that, whatever it is, a bad relationship or some addiction of whatever type, that I don't need to run. And we all get addicted. We get one of the worst addictions I see is people addicted to food.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can't live. You can live without alcohol, but you can't live without food.
Yeah, same thing. I've got on here this is just a brief description or a definition of addiction, which kind of clarifies a lot of that. Where addiction is a primary, chronic, and relapsing brain disease characterized by an individual pathologically pursuing reward and or relief by substance use and other behaviors. So it is a brain disease. It's something that is not just, physical problem or something that's just going to go away. It's going to be kind of a long-term thing. So you look at the people who stop smoking. Well, now they're, like you said, you're addicted to food. You get that kind of short-term reward. There are people that are addicted to exercise. You just can't get enough exercise. That's probably better to be addicted to than smoking and things. But it can be the extreme. It can ruin relationships.
Well, you see that all the time, right? So I talk all the time about this whole notion of it doesn't matter what you're addicted to.
Yeah.
It's all about how am I applying what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So exercise we always think is a good thing.
Yeah.
But if you're overdoing it, you see all the time.
Then you're going to start breaking down. You're going to start having other problems.
Absolutely. It's a balancing act.
And
right?
that's, those people that are, maybe addicted to exercise, kind of the same thing. You think they're doing all the right things. Well, they exercise so much that they have some major tendonitis and they went and got some pain pills. Well, they already have this addictive personality, and now they're taking pain pills, and now they're addicted to pain pills, and now they're searching something else. So it's kind of that normal, healthy person that you think, they'd never be on drugs or on pills, and that's exactly kind of the case. It's kind of that hard to fathom that, but that's kind of how it works. It's kind of a slow process, and all of a sudden, here's this kind of disease creeping in.
Absolutely. But I think an interesting example I remember reading about a while ago, and I think I mentioned previously on one of my other shows, is this notion of we're also social creatures. Mm-hmm. And why did a large percentage of veterans from the Vietnam War come back addicted and then get out of their addiction? Mm-hmm. Right? Or why doesn't Granny, who's taking opioids that are far, they're on the heaviest doses of anything after a hip replacement. They're far more addictive than any heroin that's currently out there. Why aren't they come off and be addicted? Because socially, Granny doesn't get addicted.
Yeah.
And so some of this is also putting yourself in a social context, a healthy context, where you connect with others as you connect with yourself. So part of the bridge to get out of this, let's talk about that for a second, what to do about this, is putting yourself in a healthy context with friends that are healthy and not other people that are addicted.
And that's and that's probably why groups like AA are successful, because you have group, you have support. So this is not something that you can handle alone, and it's when you're addicted to something, you don't want to necessarily admit it, you don't want people to know. But you got to find some support that's going to understand and relate to that problem.
But you want that group to be healthy.
Oh, yeah.
Because I've seen 12-step where it can be damaging when you have a destructive group. If you've got a healthy group, it's just like any group. You're connecting to others. And if you're part of a team, all of you growing in the same direction to be healthier, that's what you need. It's like in your relationships. We always get stuck in what our partner is doing to us. And we forget about what we're creating for ourselves and how we could be a team member with our partner. Same thing. So what else do we got in terms of what to do?
Well, I think kind of what we touched on really was finding that avenue that's going to help. Seek help in whatever way you can. Reach out, talk to professionals. We have codes of, HIPAA that we can't, violate confidence of our patients.
Right,
and so you have to know that you're going to be in a safe environment when you go see a medical professional, really of any kind, and then kind of find those resources, or find someone to help you find those resources that you need. And sometimes just talking about it and just kind of laying out the issues just on the table, is kind of the best way to start.
But don't give up. That's the other thing. This is a long journey. You've wanted the quick fix, and part of this is getting out of that mind frame.
This addiction didn't start overnight, and it's not going to end overnight either. Right. It's going to be a battle for a long, long time, probably forever, really. But
and so get out of the notion of needing the quick fix, but do also think about a greater future that you want to create for yourself and how you could start living that today. So again, one of my favorite guys is this guy, Viktor Frankl, and he talks about purpose in life. And he was talking from the Holocaust and the concentration camps, the worst hell that there ever was, and still finding a purpose and love and meaning even there, even within you, regardless of what's going around you. And so you find a greater purpose to live for. That's why volunteering, or again, these great social
Absolutely,
groups.
yeah. Get in a strong social environment. Yeah, absolutely.
So find that bigger purpose within yourself. And as you're doing that, don't give up in terms of wherever you're living, wherever what's ever going on, what's ever the addiction to, that we're going to find a solution, a way out, but it's not going to be a quick fix.
Right.
It's not an all or nothing thinking.
Exactly.
It's
gonna
not you're
take
right or
time.
you're wrong. It's kind of like we're on a journey. Accept the journey.
Yeah, use that kind of as a period of discovery for yourself and get back to where you want to be, kind of maybe back before you got addicted or before you had this problem. You just kind of recognize...
Or even better, what I'm going to learn and
Yeah.
grow from this addiction so that I can be a better person.
Yeah, and if you're a recovering addict, you have all the great tools to help those other addicts, and you can recognize that, and you become an advocate and help socially, and that's going to help you. It's going to help a lot of people, and really the best way to help yourself is to help other people. Get on that step, kind of educate yourself, educate somebody else. The more knowledge that we have on all these topics, the better as a society we're going to be, because this is not an individual problem. This is really a societal problem.
This
it's
is
something
not
that's
just
been
you.
swept under the rug
Stop
for
thinking
a little
it's
too
just
long.
you.
Yeah. So it's kind of like we got to get everything out on the table and kind of get it out so we can talk about it, instead of just shrugging it off and saying this really isn't a problem anymore, because it is a problem. It's getting to be a worse problem, and there's a lot that we can do about it to reverse that decline.
But it's a really interesting thing that just because you went through addiction, maybe your avenue, we call it sometimes dharma, your correct right action in life, maybe for you isn't necessarily helping other people who are addicted, but now that you understand suffering and pain in such a physicalized way, and you get the struggle to get better and the journey to be on, that is helpful in every field, in every endeavor. And so it's not always one-to-one straight like, oh, I was an addict, now I'll help other addicts. Yeah. You could also be, I've gone through this addiction, I understand suffering, and now I want to help other people who are suffering. And maybe I just want to do that by being a good parent or a good person, or to be, something different than it is.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And I watched a documentary about happiness, and really the outcome was the only way to be truly happy is to do something for somebody else and not expect something in return. And I think that gets down to a lot of this is, what your feelings are, kind of what your personality is, kind of how you can change those things. With the depression, it's, do those things that are going to make you truly happy and really kind of affect change in yourself, so you can affect change in other people as well.
Yeah, I think that's well said, perfectly said. Any other words of advice to close out on today?
Educate yourself, be knowledgeable, be your own advocate. The more you know, the more power you're going to have in all situations. That's kind of my best advice, is to educate yourself as much as you can on all these topics. Whenever you go in,
be a critical thinker.
Think.
So don't accept anybody's word as gospel.
Exactly.
Just because you watched a video on it and they said, oh, this is what's the truth, don't buy it. Don't buy any politician who's saying, go down this road. Whatever it is, you need to think for yourself.
Exactly.
And that's what you want to train children to do, and challenge everybody around you, is to think critically. There is no right or wrong answer. It's a discussion, it's a debate, it's an exploration. Anyways, thanks, Adam. Any last words of parting advice?
Keep on the quest for knowledge, and that's going to help you in a lot of aspects in life. That's kind of my big take home here today.
Oh, I like the quest for knowledge.
Yep.
Thank you,
All
Adam.
right, thanks for having me, Scott.
Thank you. Great topic today. Mental health matters. And stay with us. Do email us. Do stay connected. And make a difference today in your life and the lives of those around you. Bye.
Thank you.